I think that kind of summarizes the entire singularity of Agartha. Okay, Agartha it's called, but I like to call it Agartha. But yes, hey everyone and welcome to this last review and final thoughts on the latest singularity here on NAFGO, Agartha. And I'm gonna go right to the cheese and say it was not the best singularity I have been playing. If you've been watching and following me when I was streaming it, you do know that I was rather critical to it. There was lots of things about this that I felt was really not good. But before I continue with this is that if you enjoyed it, if you thought this was the best singularity you played and all of this, you're free to think so and that is your opinion, and as always, this is my personal opinion. It's not facts. Well, some might think might be facts, but generally this is about opinions and what you subjectively likes. And for me, I didn't enjoy this, and if you do enjoy it, and if not, please be nice to each other in the comments and all that, because I know people can be very heated on stuff like this. But yes, in short, this was not a very good singularity at all. I had many parts that was very critical to this story. I mean, first of all, I felt as the MC, the main character you're playing, felt incredible dumb. Insanely dumb. It felt like the character had gotten a bunch of strokes and then like, yeah, you know, I don't remember shit and I don't know what I'm doing, and leaving it right into the singularity and shit just hits the fan. And there are a bunch of these moments where you're like questioning like, why does they do this? For example, a good example is when you're in you're fighting in the bar, you're gonna save the naked apron guy, which I would definitely try to save because I think a naked apron guy deserves that freedom. He deserves to run free, naked and dressed in apron on the fields. Everyone, hashtag naked apron guy freedom. And and seeing that though, the biting thing with that was though, obviously first of all that it was all supposed to be sneaky, you know, we needed to sneak in. Yet we caused a ruckus in an enemy territory. Literally, we don't know, it could easily be thousands of enemies there. In a place we don't know, but they know how the layout of this city is. And the thing that worst was though, in the end that was not the worst, in my opinion. The worst was when the entire Is was flooded. And we were like, okay, we need to run, bye-bye. And knowing that all these guys we were like going in there to save is now dead. There's no chance they survived. You know? When the entire flooded like that is just crazy. And the thing that I felt so disturbed about is that the MC doesn't shed a thought on that, you know? There was no thought like, oh no, I need to go there and save them, because that is the thing I felt was so very uneven. One moment it was like, yeah, we need to go in there and save them because that is right. And next moment when this happened, we're like, okay, I ignore that, you know, it doesn't really matter. That's kind of feeling just rubbed me in the wrong direction, so to speak. I felt that was very lazy and bad writing in that regarding, because you ruin the character. You make the character seems, first of all, like a sociopath, pretty much. You know, one moment like, yeah, I'm gonna save them, and next moment like, I don't give a fuck. You know? That was what I felt like. It kind of ruins the character and makes little sense to it. Now that was of course a bit extreme, calling sociopath stuff like that, but you know what I mean? It feels like it devalues the character and the things they stand for. And then we can go into points like Dion. I like Dion. I think Dion is a really cool character. And they speaking like this, speaking French, you know. Okay, I can't speak a French accent, I'm so sorry for that. But I like Dion, and even if they maybe not have the best MP and stuff like that, still like the character and the concept of them. But seeing how Dion acts in this singularity was painful many times. Dion is supposed to be a spy, a famous for being that, being able to appear like a man or a woman and, real good spy stuff. Nope. They were dumb as fuck. And just walk in there and, fucked it up so many times. And that I feel like doesn't hold true to the character. If they really wanted something different than that, they could have taken a different character instead of Dion, They could have taken like someone that tried to be a spy but is not actually a spy, so to speak. You know what I mean? A character that tried to fill in the role but can't really well. Like, for example, I'm just taking out of the blue Lancelot. If we had him there instead, he would be like, in the end, I can't fight. I'm gonna stand what's is right for a night and go in there fighting. That would make more sense. But when you had a character that's trying to be like, yeah, we need to be spying, we need to sneak in, and then like, okay, we're gonna fight in the middle of town, enemy territory, and fucks things up quite good. And that I think is kind of things that ruins it quite a bit for the character and all that, and the story-wise as well, because it just makes you frustrated. And then this entire story itself, it felt like, it wasn't generally, the idea of this wasn't that good. It felt like, some angry guy have wrote that like that really doesn't like women, that, oh yes, all these women are evil, they will control us. I got the feeling of like, wow, this is very, very specific story. I mean, I could see the idea of it working out quite well actually, but I felt the execution of it was not very good. And the characters I like though, there is a bunch of things I like. I know I've been critical right now, and I'm gonna go through to the good stuff as well, which I thought was good. But right now, the bad stuff, I feel like some characters, of course, felt very shallow and you didn't really get too much. I mean, obviously these characters felt extreme. Like, Dahoud was extreme, I need to fuck or I die. Columbus was extremely evil, I need a slavery. It was kind of almost a bit too much. But then again, he was so... That was what I feel with his character. We're so fucking extreme. And I guess it makes sense if they were supposed to be part of a story. This part of them that was not right, so to speak. And then it was this part also that I find slightly annoying. That many characters that died didn't die. They came back. Like Wu Zetian, and we had... Helena Blavatsky and all this stuff. That was also like a bit like... Okay... Honestly, I prefer the idea of, for example, Helena be killed like that, because it really set up the character of Columbus being a major ass. That really made me like, holy shit! And then Helena's back and like, okay, that's kind of... That death suddenly didn't feel so much, It felt like more shock value, and then it's like, oh no, she's still alive. It kind of takes away of that death, so to speak, It's like every time you see an anime character die and then later on they appear again, in the end you will feel like, even if their deaths are sad, it kind of takes away of that. It kind of turns into like, they probably return, When will they return, or something like that. And that's why I don't like to use that trope too many times, that they actually survive, they come back and all that. If it's done well and reasonably, it can be really good, but here it felt like, randomly jumping back in there, surviving, Wu Zetian, for example, I could be okay. Okay, well, let's say we had Wu Zetian, just the one surviving. That would be okay. She came back, and we didn't see her body turn to dust and all that, so that okay. But then Helena Blavatsky appears again, and then, it takes away from that. If you're repeating the same thing over and over, it takes away the charm of it. At least what I think, so to say. And, there were definitely plots and twists and all that really didn't make much sense. And I felt like Columbus, they really went in to make him appearing really evil. And now, of course, I have no problem with that. He was a major douchebag, especially if you're reading history, especially the things that we have come to conclusion with. But at the same time, I think if it was a different singularity, he might have been a more interesting character. The same with Dahut and Penis Luna and all that, because I, for once, can't pronounce her name right. I'm so sorry for that. And I think that would be more interesting. Now, this was the extremes of these characters we got to see, after all. And I guess that makes sense. I mean, that was the part of the idea, but at the same time, it we didn't really get to see much more of the characters. It would be more fun if we actually got to see more depths to them. I mean, I think that personally would be nice. And now, of course, I've been very critical. I've been talking about all this bad stuff, and there's a lot, and I know I don't go through every single bit of it. There is lots of stuff that makes you cringe. It makes you like questioning, why am I here? Why am I playing this singularity? And Fergus, for once, you little brat, you were most annoying little shit this entire thing, except in the very end when he went Giga Little Breaker into the ground. That was cool. That was one of the like, holy shit moments in the entire singularity for me. That was like, yeah. Then he turning on to sexually harass Scheherazade until she kind of like, that kind of ruined it for me actually. I mean, I don't get this. What happened with Fergus? I mean, his entire thing had been like, oh no, I can't fight a woman. He'd been generally useless. He can't. You need to be polite and all. And then he ending up like sexual harassing Scheherazade for the love of God, and he's more like, yeah, you need men and women to make children. Like, it made me just my brain like fucking collapse, man. It really did. The only thing I can imagine though is that Fergus, when he was standing between life and death and summoned his sword and all that, that part of his mind was of the old Fergus as well. That is the only thing I can imagine. Or it is just very horrible written that Fergus suddenly, in that very moment, became an sexual harassing saber, pretty much. But other than that, that Giga Drill Breaker moment was really awesome. And I did like some of the characters. I like, for example, Scheherazade. I like Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian, the biggest problem I do have with her is mainly her design, how her outfit and all that. Pretty much like Jack the Ripper. I like Jack the Ripper's design as a person, a concept, rather not the design of her character. You know, her. Give her some pants! And I came to the conclusion, if we give Wu Zetian a shirt and Jack the Ripper pants, aka we're combining these two, we get a modestly dressed character. And I think that is great. We just need two lollies, combine them, and we have a modestly dressed lolly. That's the idea I come to conclusion with. And of course, I think the music have been really good actually. As per usual, even if the story can be weird and all that, the music generally really, really hypes it up. And as said, I like some of the characters. It was interesting, and mostly I must say though, the fun things I had with this was playing this with you guys. Had I been playing this alone, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as I did. Definitely not. Because there were many parts of this that I didn't enjoy. That just felt like you were happy when this was over, you know? It's not like one of these stories like, man, you wish it was continue on a bit. You wish like, oh man, it could be a bit longer, but it was more like, whew, I'm finally done with this shit. And I'm personally can't rate this very high. I thought this was a travesty compared to, I mean, we had like when I started with Figure and Order, we had like Septem, we had London, we had Okeanos, and things progressively got better and better and better. And then we had like Camelot, we had Babylonia, we had Solomon, we had Shinjuku, and then this was, I mean, obviously when you have great stuff like that just increasing with time, and then suddenly it drops in quality, it will just literally hit like a fucking punch in the face. And I felt that. That was just, it felt bad. It makes me wonder, how did they come to conclusion to release this? And the thing is, as I understand, is that the Japanese version was even worse. And that makes me wonder, like, how bad was that actually? If that was worse, and I thought this was rather bad, you know? it was not very good. I felt like, as said, it had too many parts that didn't really work out in its favor. I would love to like it. It had many parts that, as characters, I liked, and the idea that could work, but in the end, it just kind of fucked over and turned not really good. And I think the worst thing is that this is actual canon part of Fate Grand Order, since this is an epic remnant. This is things that really do happen with this game, so to speak, in the story-wise. That this is part of canon. This is in the same level of thing as Babylonia and all of this stuff, and that I think probably hurts the most, because if we use that as an event, then I would be more okay with it, because then you're like, okay, this is an event, this is not canon, we're okay with that, but this is a canon part, at least what I understand of. And if I'm wrong, please correct me about that, but from my understanding, it is like that. But it is as it is, and in the end, I got through this entire singularity. It's not very good in my opinion, it's very, very low on my list. It's about, I would say it's between Septum and London. Really, it is about that level. It's very, very long down in my list. And if you enjoyed this and thought it was the best or very, very, very good, then that's fine too. And I'm happy you were actually able to enjoy it and have a good time with it. But I do hope most of you did have a good time playing it through somehow, or at least joining when I was streaming it, because I at least had a good time with you guys and all that. So yes, that is my thoughts of this singularity. It was a mess. It had lots of bad stuff, with a few good stuff, of course, which we're gonna be pointing out, like some good characters, good music, good arts, stuff like that. But sadly, there are more negative parts than positive parts, for me at least. So yes, that is my thoughts. What is your thoughts about this? Did you enjoy this, or did you not? And as I said, please be kind and respectful to each other in the chat, well, in the comments and all that. So see you later on, and have a continued super great day.